Right, let's do this then. We talked about the Fnatic one. Another interesting one, obviously, especially because they've started with like a slightly dodgy start to split, is obviously Mad Lions. So obviously now I'm going to ask about Hylissang, aren't I, Yamato? So it's okay. Here's the thing, Yamato. You're going to think it's going to be like the Human one. We're just going to flame it. It's not. Here's the good news, Yamato. I've talked to so many of Hylissang's teammates over the years, privately as well as publicly. I think I get it, mate. And I've even come with a prop to help explain to these fans what it's like to work with Hylissang, right? Do you see this here, right? Look. This, I know it's hard to say. Look, this is a chicken on a skateboard, right? Now, here's the thing, Yamato. Why is the chicken on a skateboard? What's he doing there? How's he going to possibly navigate a skateboard? Can a chicken even work on a skateboard? How would we efficiently use a chicken on a skateboard? What would even the game plan be? I don't know, but that's not a relevant question. The point is he's on the skateboard now, so we've got to deal with it, haven't we? We've got to come up with something on the fly. I've never had a chicken on a skateboard before, but I've got one now. That's all I'm working with. So that's sort of like where I heard it's coaching like Hylissang, like basically. You don't get this on the LEC, Yamato. You don't get this fraud. So.
Okay. All right.
Go on, hit me with it. Come on.
Yeah, I think that this this chicken on skateboard can do some crazy tricks.
Exactly.
He can do kick flips, 760s. You know,
he's wild, mate. He's wild. Yeah.
As long as his teammates believe in him, he can do some crazy tricks. Hilly's fantastic. I think Hilly. I think in terms of figuring out lane phase, I think he's so fucking good. Like he pays attention to the finest details of the lane phase. Sometimes he applies the same thing into the mid game and the macro game, and sometimes that is a bit too much, where you like look too many. Like let's focus on what we can replicate between the game. But no, this is important. If we flashed here, we could kill all of them. That was like always the thing with Hilly and Whipple, because they were so similar. I think Hilly's weakness was in the past, like when I worked with him, was he always had teammates around him that knew how to enable Hilly and get the most out of him. I think like Hilly and Whip was such a strong pairing. Hilly and Ups is such a strong pairing because they're so involved with each other, and they made sure that Hilly's opinion is heard and his thoughts are elaborated on, and they are patient with him and his thought process. Because
what about Hilly Niski? I always thought that it seems to have worked the two times that they've played together. Thoughts?
I think Hilly Niski, to some degree, yes, but I think at the same time there is a certain level of it's not as close quarters as, for example, jungle support or mid. AD and support. Right? I think it matters, but I think the other versions of it is a little bit more important. But if I try to think back, like when we worked with Niski, I think the most dominant force in the team was just Whippo, Hilly, and Upset. And I think that made up the majority of all of the needs that were met. So I think in that context, that relationship didn't need to be as strong as it potentially could be in the context of current Mad Lions. Because the majority, it's like usually the team's identity is defined by the majority, and our majority there in terms of what the values are and how we view the game was just Hilly, Whippo, and then Upset, and then we had Adam and Niski as our supportive players in the idea and the identity that we had as a team. So maybe in the context of current Mad Lions, maybe that relationship is stronger.
In terms of personality balance? Because I feel like if you're saying that Hilly's a player that needs that like support and like he needs to feel like his teammates think he's good, I always thought that Niski was the type of player that people just got along with. Like he didn't really have problems. He's not going to criticize you in a super negative way. And then also in terms of just the way that they see the game, it seems like Niski is also in that like mentality of they're inting, kill them, they're inting, that type of vein. So what do you think about that specifically?
I'm trying to think back now. I think Niski is a very positive force to have within a team in terms of making it like basically lowering the overall stress of the day-to-day, which I think is super important. I think that he provides a lot of relief in terms of some of the comments he does.
You're making it sound like he runs a fucking bathhouse or something. The fuck? Keep going. He's lowering the stress. He's providing a lot of relief. He's out to massage out those difficult knots in the.
No, he's just very.
And in
good
the
at
end,
having
there's just
fun,
a happy ending, and we all go to Worlds. Yeah. So
he's just very good at having fun. You have those characters. That definitely lower the amount of stress that you have within the game. It's like Niski is one of those guys. We've seen Broken Blade to be this type of person. Flacked as also comes across to me as this type of person. It's like Jizuke as well. I remember in Vitality, this guy just fucking starts laughing because the enemy mid laner misses a spell. And when you hear that within the game or in the context of your day-to-day, it definitely, amount of stress and the pressure that can amount, that is definitely like a thing that matters. I think Niski is very, very good at being just that. I think that he is very socially aware of his teammates, which I think is an attribute that should be valued, because it's not something that is tangible, but it's something that is visible when you work with someone on a day-to-day basis. I think it's hard for me to answer this question specifically in the context of Hyli and Niski, because in the context of our team, just that relationship didn't need to be as strong as it potentially could be in the current roster. I know just that I spoke to Mac yesterday in regards to the team, and he was telling me that Hyli was taking a more forward approach in terms of how he connects with his teammates. And I think that's a massive sign of growth from Hyli, because in the end, Hyli is very experienced. He has won championships, and he has been a part of many rosters that have been very dominant, and he has figured out how to be a part of teams that compete within Europe. And I think that him recognizing that he can be that dominant and positive force and be the first kind of domino brick that starts the reaction, I think this is the main thing that Hyli needs to work on. And Mac basically confirmed that this is something that he's doing, that he's connecting with Chasey. Chasey is the new guy that comes into the team, and he's being very nurturing. He's helping Kazi a lot in terms of the lane phase bottom side, and he's taking more of a leadership role. And I think that in regards to the other personalities that are on the team, I feel like that my general impression is that he gets the space to do just that. I think Hyli as a person, if he feels like people trust his words, and he feels like, honestly, this is true for anyone, right? If a person feels valued, whatever that means for each individual, they're going to perform better. And I think Hyli, when he feels important, feels valued, and he can take his motivation from how much he cares about his teammates, this is the best version that you can get of Hyli. I can remember this story, right? Like, I can tell you this story. When we were facing up against G2, and he played like the craziest best of 5. Like, he made Reckless and Mickey look like amateurs in this best of 5, where he's picking Pyke, and he's just...
This was the 3-0 one, right?
We went 3-2. It was very contested.
It's that one, yes. Okay.
But Hyli's performance, like, he was in some kind of fucking Zen state. Like, I've never seen someone channel Pyke Q, and before it's thrown, 2 people flash.
Right.
Like, that's how deep he was in their brains, right?
Yeah. And deep in something else too.
And yes, and in that context, right, I remember Hyli was like, upset, you're gonna go to Worlds, and he just entered this kind of flow state. And the moment he said that, I was like, this is true, and there's no way you don't believe this shit. And I think when he can draw that strength and that motivation from his teammates, that he truly feels connected to them, he turns into a different player. So it's very important when you have a player like Hyli on your roster to really be patient and nurture, and make sure that he gets that opportunity to speak in front of his teammates and to share his words. Because even on Unicorns of Love, like, the moment Hyli left Unicorns of Love just disappeared from the league. Before that, they were really fucking competitive, and I think Hyli was a very, very big part of that. Like, they played 2 finals somehow with with players that you barely even know anymore. Yes. It's like, sure, Vichichachi, but then there was like a lot of players that just came and went, and the one, Exile, like who else? I guess Power Evo went to Misfits after, and then to North America. Kikis is one that we picked up later, but there was a lot of players that came and went. I remember there was Diamond Prox at one point, there was Gilius, there was Svenskir, and there was a lot of players that came and went, but the common denominator was always Hyli.
Bro, since he keeps name dropping that he's talked to Mac, Dom, can you even imagine how those convos must go? Like, imagine fucking Yamato, Mac, and Peter Dunn trying to go and have a fucking coffee in Berlin somewhere. And at the end, the check comes. And then obviously Mac's like, Well, as a group, I think we've got to make positive forward progress to who's going to pick up this check. And then Yamato here is just like, I think someone here is making uncharacteristic mistakes in calculating the bill at the end. And then Peter's like, guys, I think you'll find if we could just split the bill like we agreed. Because last time I paid, if you're not like, fuck it. They never get to the point, would they? It'd all be euphemism central 24/7. And they each just take 10 minutes to answer. Like, bloody hell.
There was a Voice of Yamato episode that's coming out today.
Okay.
So it's like, there's a conversation that people can listen to.
There
I'll
you
just
go,
do
there
it
you
as
go.
a plug.
It's a free
Usually
plug.
I don't plug anything
There
when
It's
I'm
all good.
the
It's
show,
all good.
but now I'm a content creator, so I have to, need to be a bit of a leech.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
It's all good. See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.